Hello and welcome to I Have a Voice. So good to see you all. Today we're going to be talking about 10 ways to improve your marriage. Look, these are practical tips that you can start doing today, and it will help you improve the quality of your relationship. Look, HollyKem and I, for years, have helped couples become the best they can in their marriage, and that's really our heart's passion. We want to see you have the best marriages possible because we know in a family everything flows down from the quality of the relationship, flows from you to the children, to your neighborhood, to all your social networks. So we want to really help you have the best relationship possible, and we're going to go through 10 simple or practical ways in order to do that. So let's get into number one. Number one is often say I love you. Yeah, often say that I love you. But what I mean by that, look, love is the lifeblood of any relationship. Everyone knows that. And it only grows when we express it and when we practice it. That we each need to practice love. And one simple way of doing that is to just tell your partner or in any relationship, I love you. I may not do it real well. I may not be loving at the moment, but I do love you. So you need to do that, very rarely to never do. I ever get off the phone with Holly Kim and we don't end it by saying, I love you. Very rarely do we not leave the house and the last thing we say is, I love you. That it's so important to speak that out, to have some type of intention with speaking that to your partner or to your friends or to any relationship, and it will make the relationship grow. Let's get into tip number two. Tell your spouse three things that you're grateful for. Yeah, verbalize to your spouse. Look, you can do an exercise. You can, for the next 7 days, send a text to your spouse in the morning and say, these are three things that I'm grateful for. I'm so grateful that Holly Kim is, she's so full of life and so vibrant, so transparent. I love and grateful of how she models really being expressing emotion. The whole gamut of emotions are there. I mean, she's just alive. And I'm also grateful of how committed and loyal she is to me. Those are three things. And if I mention those things to her, it builds the relationship. There's nothing that builds the relationship well as just expressing gratitude. Express what you're grateful for. Try that with your spouse. Send a text to your spouse right now. Listen, I was just thinking about you, and these are three things that I am grateful for, that I absolutely enjoy and love about you. So let's get into tip number three: 10 ways to improve your marriage. And here's number three. All right, I might get censored here. Have lots of sex. Yes, yes. I'm talking about in a committed married relationship. I'm not advocating that outside of that. But one of the greatest gifts that God gives us in a relationship is the sexual relationship. There's a lot more exchanged other than the physical act of pleasure. There's connection emotionally, there's connection psychologically, there's connection spiritually. In fact, in the Bible, it says, when you leave mother and father and you join yourself to your spouse, the two become one. And that doesn't just mean one physically, that means one on all those levels. Look, if you increase the frequency of your success of your sexual relationship, I promise you, you'll feel closer. You'll start thinking more alike. You'll start being on the same page. Your relationship will be more playful. It'll be fun. You'll be enjoying pleasure, enjoying each other, and you will be partaking in one of the greatest gifts that God gives us in a relationship. So I'm going to get comments from perhaps the men saying, Go over that one again. No, just kidding. But let's go to number 4. Number 4 is practice forgiveness. Yeah, you need to practice forgiveness. Think about right now, what are some of the hurts that you have and that you have in your relationship with your spouse? And I want you to make a conscious decision right now is to acknowledge the hurts, to acknowledge the emotions that go with those hurts. It might be anger, frustration, sadness, hurt. And I want you to lay those emotions down on the altar, asking God to remove them and just declare, I forgive my spouse. Look, in the Song of Solomon, it says it's the small foxes that spoil the vine. And what I take from that is the little things that are not dealt with in a relationship that end up eroding the fabric, the quality of a relationship. And that by practicing forgiveness, you actually deal with those small foxes. It's hard to be loving when you're carrying resentment towards someone. It's hard to be loving when you're really angry with someone or you're frustrated with one. Yes, the behaviors may need to be dealt with, but it's dealing with the forgiveness and being intentional about that. Am I saying what they've done to you is okay and for them, it's all right for them to repeat that in the future? Absolutely not. That's not what forgiveness is. Forgiveness is acknowledging that I'm carrying resentment, I'm carrying hurt in my heart that were caused by something my spouse did, and I'm still carrying it 1 day, 2 days, 10 days, 20 days later. No, it's time to let it go. If you want to have a good, successful marriage, you need to learn, excuse me, to let go of hurts and forgiveness. Yeah, you can do that. Let's get to number 5. Number 5, give a surprise gift. Try that today. Come home. When you get home today, bring a surprise gift to your spouse. It doesn't need to be extravagant. It can be. Like The Price is Right. A new car. Well, no, I'm not saying a new car, but something that you know is important to your spouse. What makes anything loving is that your spouse knows that you're thinking about them outside the time that you're present with them, and you're doing a kind or caring act towards them. So we've gone through 5 so far. Tell me which one in the comments. Which one's your favorite way to improve your marriage, and which one are you going to practice today? So give a surprise gift to them, and yeah, it could be a surprise date. It could be a surprise situation. There's nothing that creates a flow in a relationship than generating excitement and generating a sense of not knowing. And so go ahead and do that with your spouse and see what happens. Let's get to number 6. 6 easy ways to improve your marriage. Number 6, which is similar to the last one, is create adventure. Create adventure. You know, if I tell my wife, listen, be dressed this evening at 6:30. I want to take you out on a surprise date, and I'm going to take you to a restaurant that you've never been before, and we're going to do another activity that you've never done before, and it's going to be lots of fun. Can you be ready at 6:30? And she says, yes. Look, I just created excitement. I created a sense of adventure, created some momentum that's breathing life into our relationship. Create an adventure, create a weekend getaway just with your spouse. Create, my wife, she loves the ballet. She loves dance. For me, it's all right. I enjoy it, but I don't dream about it. But when I come home and I say I got 2 tickets to go to the ballet, or I got 2 tickets to go to this particular modern dance, uh, it really breathes life into our relationship. Create adventure is number 6. Number 7, let's get into the 7th strategy, a way to improve your relationship. Plan a weekly date night. Yeah, plan a weekly date night. I hear this from couples all the time. Is that once we have children and there's so much time and energy invested in taking care of the children, which needs to happen, and then we have our work obligations. Often today, both spouses are working. It's just really heavy and hectic schedules. I have some friends that have children that are in they're in travel ball, and I mean every weekend they're traveling to some place and watching games and this and that. And oftentimes our life revolves around our children, and to a certain degree, that's really good. But if you neglect and forget the relationship, it's not going to grow. You need to feed your relationship. You need to feed your marriage. You need to, it's like putting wood on a fire. If you stop putting wood on the fire is going to burn out. And how do you keep putting wood on the fire? Is that you plan quality time together. Designate a date night. It could be a Friday night, it could be a Wednesday, it could be whatever works in your schedule. Or you say it doesn't work in my schedule, we're so busy. Look, you need to make it a priority. You make it a priority to eat, you make it a priority to take a shower, you make it a priority to get to work, make it a priority to spend quality time with your spouse. You need to have a weekly time. So number 7 is plan uh, a weekly date night so that you can have quality time together. Let it rejuvenate you. Let it rejuvenate the relationship. And I promise you, one of the best gifts that you can give your children is to have a really good relationship. Look, kids are like sponges. They know when you're having problems. They know when you're distant. They know when you're not connected. They may not say it, but they feel it. Everything, as I said, flows from the quality of your relationship with your spouse. If there's a lot of animosity in that relationship, there will be a lot of animosity in the house. If there's a lot of love in that relationship, there will be a lot of love in the house. Make sure you're putting wood on that fire and creating momentum to where there's what you're modeling before your kids is healthy, is good, and it's loving. Let's get to number 8. The eighth way to improve your marriage. Seems like a small thing, but it really is. Let me know. Do you go to bed at the same time with your spouse? Write it in the comments. Yes, we do, or no, we don't. Go to bed at the same time. Go to bed at the same time. Well, I'm a night owl. My spouse is a morning person. Look, there's so much connection that's made by just having the same ritual of going to bed at the same time. Even if you're both reading, even if you're doing something, there's something about being present with each other and being on the same rhythm and on the same track. Sometimes I've dealt with couples that they've said, yeah, well, I go to bed at 10 o'clock. My spouse goes to bed at 1 o'clock. I get up, 5:30 in the morning. He gets up at 7:30 in the morning. And it's like we're 2 trains passing in the night. You know, there's not a routine of us connecting at night. There's not a routine of winding down together. There's not a routine of having conversation before we go to bed. And so know and work on trying to figure out a time that's compatible for both of y'all to go to bed at the same time. Let's look at number 9. Ways to improve your marriage. I'm a real big proponent of this. Pray together. I don't know how to pray. Learn. Look, most people out there have a belief in God, and there's a certain sector of people that don't, and this is not important. But if you're a churchgoer, you believe in God, learn to pray together. It's so important. The family that prays together stays together. I've mentioned this many a times, but it's so worth mentioning again. 1 out of 2 or 1 out of 3 marriages fail today. 1 out of 1,260 marriages fail where the spouses actively pray together. There's something about, and I'm not talking about just going to church. That's as wonderful as that is. I'm talking about bringing the church in the home. I'm talking about sitting down. We have this financial issue that we're dealing with. We have this child issue that we're dealing with. We have this relationship or in-law issue that we're dealing with. Let's sit down. Lord, we come together before you. We acknowledge your presence. We thank you for who you are. And we ask you to give us insight and to lead us on how to deal with our child with this situation. We invite you into our marriage. We invite you into our home. And you just start praying and you listen. You pray and listen. It could be manifested in a different way. You could do you can read scripture together. You can pray some formal prayers. I have, if you grew up Catholic, you have so many formal prayers that we've been taught. Pray certain prayers together. How you do it, I don't care. Just do it. Just learn to pray together. Increase that, and know that will increase God's presence in your marriage, and he will become a mediator. His presence will do things that you'll be aware of, and he'll do many things that you have no idea, that you're not even aware of, protecting, intervening, showing you certain things. There's many times in raising my son, I was, I invited the Lord. HollyKem and I would say, Lord, we invite you to help us raise our son. And if there's anything that we're missing, to show us. And there's more than 1, 2, 3 times that he supernaturally showed us certain things that were exactly what Moses needed. And we would have known in any other way. And that was due to praying and inviting his presence into our relationship. Number 10 is, this is more of a modern one, but it's a very important one. Manage roles and responsibilities. Manage roles and responsibilities. What do you mean by that, Dean? Well, this is what I mean. The modern marriages don't have defined roles. No, they don't. They don't have defined roles anymore. In a sense that it used to be, right? The 50s marriage, the wife would cook, clean, take care of the house, take care of the clothes, perhaps pay the bills. The husband would work, take care of the yard, do certain things. And it was really clearly defined roles. But today we don't have that. That we have all the items to take it to run a household. And if both spouses are working full time and we still try to use that old role system, it's going to be really havoc in our relationship. And so we have to talk about and say, look, we have a modern marriage. There's these 50 roles to run a household. Let's write what those are. Which ones are you going to take? Which ones am I going to take? Which ones will we get the kids to help us on? Which ones will we hire? And how we're going to make this work. So I'll do the clothes. You do the cooking. The teenage child will do the cleaning of the dishes. We pay for someone to clean the house once a week. Look, There's no set roles, so it doesn't matter what roles you take. They just all need to be taken care of. And so have dialogue about what are all the roles to run a household, and then have a conversation about which ones you will take and which one your spouse will take. It's unfair. It's unfair. Listen, husbands, it's unfair to expect your wife to take care of all the traditional wife roles and for her to be working full time. It doesn't work. If you want an angry wife, go ahead and try. No, you have to work something out that works for all of you. Manage your roles and responsibilities. So those are our 10 ways to improve your marriage. I want to tell you about a really great resource. As a fellow years ago that I read a number of his books, he was called the Love Doctor. I'm always an advocate of learning and helping people increase in their ability to love. His name's Leo Buscaglia, and he wrote a book called Living, Loving, and Learning. If you want to grow in your ability to love your spouse, get this book. I have a link in the description for your convenience. You can click on that and order it off of Amazon. But get that book, read it, and apply it. It's very practical. I think it'll be really helpful for you. Living, loving, and learning. And we also have, sometimes people are trying to figure out, do I have a healthy relationship or not? Put these 10 ways of improving your marriage into practice. But if you're interested in trying to figure out whether you have a healthy marriage and whether you have a healthy relationship, we have a video that you can go to and watch right now, is the top 7 signs of a healthy marriage. And you can look at that and enjoy that. And may your marriage be blessed, and may it improve significantly, and may it become a beacon of light, not only for your children, but for your neighborhood